Hey guys, Chris from Average Escape Reviews here, and I'm back. It's been a minute, but I'm back. And of course, look at that shock. He comes back after months of not posting videos with a brand new Evolve board. Yeah, it is what it is, guys. Get over it. The Evolve videos and the Evolve skateboards are what made this channel. I've tried to do lots of other videos as well in terms of other manufacturing boards, but this is bread and butter. This is where it's at. So say what you will in the comments, but we're back. And if there's any other boards you want us to look at, comment down below and we will. But of course, I'm going to kick off with something that actually gets me excited. And that's this, the new Diablo. Now, this is brand new. Just got it. I wanted to do a first impression. So this is by no means a review. This is kind of just like, what's new? What do you guys want to know as well? So comment down below and let me know what you want me to cover in the review. Of course, there'll be the range tests. I'm going to do a water test as well because we'll get into that in the video. But I'm going to cover it as much as I can as concisely as I can. But just comment down below. Let me know what you want me to cover. And if there's anything else you want me to look at, comment down below and let me know. This is, of course, a new look. This is the studio. This isn't going to be where I film skateboard videos. First impressions, I didn't see the need to be outside for this one. But the review will be outside. Okay, now let's talk about what's new with this board. It looks very similar. This is the Diablo Bamboo. It looks very similar to the previous generation, the Hadean. Of course, they've kept a lot of signature things that scream Evolve, like the deck shape. Of course, we love that. The grip tape is a little bit different. I don't know why I'm starting with that because it's not like it's a fascinating thing, but hey, that's where we've landed. The grip tape on this board is much more coarse. It doesn't have like the black lines that you get down the middle with that grip tape. It's got clear grip tape, which is a little bit harder to see on camera, but it is there. It's much more coarse, so you're much more locked into this board, which is great. Now, from there, I think the thing that really stands out on this, especially if you've got the Hadean Bamboo, is going to be the trucks, the new silver trucks that have the top-mounted base plate. They look sick. Now, I think, is it a flex? Because the second this board goes past you, if you know Evolve boards, if it's got silver trucks, you'll know that's a Diablo. If it's got black trucks and it's a Bamboo, you'll know that it's a Hadean. A bit of a flex, but I think it looks really nice. It really complements the bamboo color of these boards, and I think it looks premium. It looks sick. Say what you want about Evolve, but however you feel about them, I think this board looks sick, and they're very good at designing boards. I think everyone can agree with that. Now, the color of the trucks isn't just all there is there. The fact that the base plate is mounted at the top of the deck actually means that the board sits a little bit lower center of gravity, which means that you're better off at going faster with this board, which we'll talk about the speed later. The lower the board is to the ground, more control you'll have, more stability you'll have while the board's taking off, which is always great. It sits roughly about 5 mil lower than the Hadean Bamboo. Now, most importantly is going to be the power of this board. What's it putting out? Motors. Motors are new, bigger than what we saw on the previous generation of boards from Evolve, the Hadean series. These motors are the 6374 motors, putting out 3,500 watts. Now, in addition to this, you can't just put a big set of motors on a board and hope it works well. That's not the case. It needs to be a recipe that goes well together. This also has brand new battery. It has the 12S4P setup inside here using the Samsung 50S cells. Now, these batteries will allow roughly for 20% more ride time or range, and also much better power as well, which is going to be appreciated. So this board's top speed that I've got out of the board is 32 miles an hour on the 66 tooth gears with the 7-inch wheels, which, if you know anything about this channel, all I ever wanted Evolve boards to do was to go 30 miles an hour plus with the 7-inch wheels with their stock 66 tooth gear setup, which is exactly what this board does. So I'm elated. I'm so freaking happy that they've done that. Thank you, Evolve. But let's talk about the elephant in the room. Fast charging. What the Where is fast charging? They've essentially got the Hadean board, the Hadean Bamboo, made this Diablo, which corrects everything that I hoped that they would correct in the next series of boards. Everything. It has the right speed, the right range, the right torque, the right mid, while you're in gear or while you're rolling and you're cruising. That mid torque is what I wanted. Like, if you're already cruising at, say, 15, 20 miles an hour, and then you need a burst of power to get around something, that's what this has. They've corrected that as well. Not just off-the-line performance, in-motion performance, which is great. Fast charging is literally the only thing that's missing. And let me explain why. I know that people say fast chargers will cook the battery. I don't care. I'm not going to use it every day. It's if I'm riding around in a city that's nowhere near my house. I want to be out all day riding, bar hopping and riding. Yeah, we do that. Ricky, if you're watching, where the hell are you? We like to do that, and that means we start early in the morning, we cruise around, we stop, we have lunch, we have a few drinks, we cruise around some more. You stop halfway through the day, charge for an hour, and you're good to go for the rest of the day. I need that. Put a disclaimer on the battery charger that says that if you continued use will degrade the battery, it's not covered in warranty, and let people decide if they want to buy the fast charger. Please, 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 Evolve, please do that. If you agree with me, leave it in the comments down below, because I think a lot of us would prefer that as an option. At least give us the option. Okay, rant over. This board essentially does have everything I hoped the Hadean would be upgraded to, so I've got no complaints there. In terms of the range, I don't really want to discuss that too much, but top speed, 32 miles an hour, no problem on this setup. Range, I'm definitely getting over 25 miles an hour. I'll leave it at that, but we'll go into exact details when I drop the review, and you'll see exactly what the performance of this thing is like. Now, in terms of other new features of the board, we've got to talk about the deck. The deck is actually thicker than what we saw on the previous board. Evolve have added an extra layer of fiberglass and an extra layer of hardwood. That essentially stiffens up the bamboo deck. Depending on which Hadean you got, some Hadeans were significantly more flexible than others, whereas this is much more of a uniform stiffness. The extra torque, the extra top speed definitely justifies having a stiffer deck, but I've got to mention, it doesn't compromise on the ride. So you still have that springy kind of like delayed feel that you get with a bamboo board. It's so hard to put into words, and it's something that you can only experience on a flexible board, but you still have that. It's just a little bit stiffer, and you just feel a bit more stable when you're going, 28, 29, 30, 31 plus, depending on what you can get the board up to. So the stiffer deck is appreciated, but it doesn't compromise on that kind of like free, flowy feeling that you get with a bamboo board. So don't worry, that is still very much there. Now, speaking of the ride, one of the things that was responsible for the ride of Evolve's boards, aside from their decks, was the trucks. The double kingpin trucks that they use. Now, that's still the same formula here. Of course, we mentioned that the base plate is top mounted, and we explain why. But these trucks are also 20mm wider than what we saw previously. So if you line it up next to a Hadean board, you will notice that it is a little bit more girthy, which is appreciated. More speed, more top end, more acceleration power means that the board being wider gives you a better level of control over the board, more stability at top speed, which is great. But again, it still carves and flows exactly the way that you'd want it. If anything, it's more. Because the trucks are wider, I feel like that gives you so much more agility and control over the trucks. You'd imagine that having them smaller, it would give more agility, but the setup here works incredibly well. I don't feel like the ride that this particular style of board, the bamboos, are so renowned for, has been compromised in any way. So that is really, really spot on. Now, in addition to that, something else that they've done to upgrade this board, which I think is going to be very welcome, especially with me and how many previous bamboo boards I've destroyed with water damage, is that this board, the battery enclosure, has a new lid and also an inner seal. So the battery and all of the components inside the battery enclosure are better protected against the elements. Now, this isn't me saying go ride out in the wet, because you can do that now, but I know from what I've seen about how this board is sealed up that I will definitely be doing that. And of course, I will cover this in the review. I'll let you know how riding in the wet goes and if anything happens to the board. This isn't me saying go do it. It's just this board is better sealed against water, than the previous generation of bamboo boards. So that is a very much welcomed upgrade. That's a very big upgrade for anyone that's ever experienced liquid damage in their boards. Rest assured, this is going to be a huge improvement. Now, all of these upgrades, what's that done to the weight of this board? The previous generation Hadean bamboo was 13.6 kilograms in weight. I'll put a conversion to pounds if you don't use kilograms on the screen. And this board is 15.3. So there's not a huge difference, a couple of kilograms in weight. Now, that's not massive. I think one of the things that people lose sight of when looking at boards like this is the weight does matter. Now, size and weight matters. Doesn't matter what people tell you in every element. I had to. The weight of this board I feel like is ideal, and it goes hand in hand with the performance that you get from this board. Having an AT board that does 30 plus miles an hour on 87-inch wheels is exactly what I want. I can't say that enough. But there are boards out there that are much quicker, much bigger batteries. A lot of people will say 12S4P, why didn't they go for a bigger battery? There's boards out there today that have bigger batteries. Yeah, there is. Like the Own board Bamboo, which you guys know I love that board. I love it. But it's a tank. It's not the sort of board I want to be carrying into bars and restaurants and upstairs and off public transport if I'm using it. It's too heavy for that. It's the sort of board you put down, that's it, leave it on the ground. And it's got a massive battery, crazy range, good top speed, bad acceleration. I don't want to go on too much of a digression here, but that board is too freaking heavy. This board's performance, the fact that I'm currently, I'll let it slip, roughly about 25 miles of range right now, but I've not finished depleting the battery. I've not been on it long enough to do that. But so far, I know that I can get 25 miles out of this, but I'll touch on that in the review after I've actually run through the whole battery and tested it on different riding surfaces and different conditions. All that's coming. But the issue with having, you know, giant motors and giant batteries is the boards, they're not skateboards anymore. And that's something I'm noticing with a lot of the boards that are being released that are more powerful than this. Because don't get me wrong, I'm not going to sit here and say this is the Bugatti of boards, or let's go a little bit more specific, the Koenigsegg or even the Pagani of boards. This isn't that. But what this is that this is Apple. As much of you might hate me saying this, Android, of course, yeah, you can tweak it and make it better. I don't want to do any of that shit. I just want to buy a board that looks sick, that performs at the level that I want it to perform at, and that's exactly what this does. But more importantly, it's still a skateboard. This looks like a skateboard. It kind of rides like a skateboard. You can carve around on it like a skateboard. When it turns into this big electric girder-looking Terminator thing that's got these massive batteries and huge motors, that's no longer my jam. I want it to be a skateboard. I want it to look cool. And I feel like that's what this encompasses. So I just wanted to cover that because I know a lot of people are like, oh, why have they gone for that battery? Use this battery. This is the perfect setup to still call this a skateboard. That's my opinion. Let me know if you agree in the comments. But I feel like they've done a good job of being able to create a board that performs incredibly well, that kind of like answers all of the requests that a lot of the Evolve riders had, except the fast charger argument. But other than that, all of the requests that I think Evolve riders have made, or just riders in general, this board is going to hit a lot of those points on the head, which is fantastic. Now, something I left for last is going to be, of course, the upgraded ESC that they have in this. This is the 2.0 version. Essentially the 2.0 version of their ESC. Now, this has a lot of new features which are great. It's maintained all of the old features as well, like being able to customize the board using Evolve's app, where you can go in and tweak the acceleration and performance. That's going to be even more prevalent with this particular new board over here, so that's always a good touch. And of course, it's still got the lights in it. All of that good stuff is still here. But what you get with the new firmware and also the new ESC is the fact that this board actually will warn you about safety things on the board, which I think is great. So overheating is one. If you're cruising around, let's say it's 50 degrees out and you're in Corsa mode and you're ripping it on grass, the board will say, hey, overheating warning, we're going to drop you down a mode until the motors and everything internal inside the board cools down, which I think is great. Self-preservation for the board, safety for the riders, which is a phenomenal feature. Also, on top of that, they also have an overcurrent feature as well, or overcurrent protection. So this board can essentially draw major amounts of current for short periods of time, for up to 8 seconds. And if it exceeds that while you're ripping it, it will give you a warning, a little vibration, and let you know that it's going to be pulling back on how much current it's drawing, which isn't going to affect the ride. There's not going to be like a sudden jerk or slowing down. It's just letting you know what it's doing. You can turn this off in the settings, but I thought that was a really nice touch, and it's nice to know the board is working behind the scenes to better protect the riders that are on it, and also to better protect the board so it doesn't damage itself. Those are phenomenal upgrades that are all included in this new board as part of the new 2.0 ESC that Evolve has built from the ground up once again. So this is just a quick first impressions. I say quick, we're probably coming up on plus 10 minutes in this video. Quick for me. Quick first impressions of the new Diablo board. I cannot wait to share my review with you guys after I've been able to water test it, definitely doing that, range test it, and just get it, you know, basically kind of abuse the board a little bit to see what this thing is capable of doing. And I'm excited because I'm back on a bamboo board. The reason I went quiet and I stopped posting videos, I just kind of like lost the drive and the excitement for doing this. I already have another YouTube channel, as I know a lot of you guys know, that's my full-time job, hence the studio setup. But I just didn't want to ride boards anymore. And this has made me excited to film and ride boards again. And that's the reason I felt like this was the ultimate video to come back with. So stay tuned. Cannot wait to drop this video. Leave all your questions and what you want to see in the review down below. And of course, I will have the Diablo Carbon and also the Diablo Renegade as well. Those are all coming, so stand by for those, and I cannot wait to share those with you. But yeah, good to be back, guys. And follow on Instagram because you'll see more. I'll leave that over here. But I'll catch you in the next one. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Take care till next time.